Hi, it's Mrs. Moret with your Unit 6 Lesson 3 practice problems. So this is in your textbook on page 25, and you were assigned all of numbers 1 through 7. All right, so number 1, C is a circle with radius r, so I drew that there. Which of the following is true? So first, the diameter of C is 2r. So the diameter would be all the way across. Each of these is r, so 2r would be the diameter. That's true. The circumference is 2r, and that's not true because the circumference is 2 pi times the radius. So B is not true, but C is. 1/4 of the circle has length pi times the radius divided by 4. But we've been working on this a little bit, and we know that if we start here at 0 and we say this is pi, 1/4 of the circle is up here. It's halfway from 0 to pi. So it's pi over 2. That's when the radius is 1. So whatever the radius is, actually, that's going to be the length of that. So D is not true, but E is. Okay. Here on number 2, so we have an angle measured in radians and the amount of rotation about a circle corresponding to the angle. So we know, example, 2 pi radians corresponds to 1 full circle. And so 2 pi radians angle measure is 1 full rotation of the circle. So I know down here, this is 2 pi. I'm going to just kind of fill in what I know just by thinking logically about it. 1 full rotation is 2 pi, which means that each time we do a rotation, it's a part of 2 pi. So if we do a part of 2 pi and we get pi over 6, how much of 2 pi did we get? So this one is really easy to understand. For 1/8 of a rotation, we can calculate 1/8 of 2 pi. So 1/8 times 2 pi is 2 pi over 8. And we can reduce that because 2 and 8 are both divisible by 2 to pi over 4. I'm going to put that here. Pi over 4. Okay, so kind of the same idea. What we're looking for is the rotation here. And so instead of, we have the angle. So if we have the angle, how much of a rotation was that? So to get the angle, we multiplied by 2 pi. So if we know the angle, we're going to divide by 2 pi. So pi over 6 divided by 2 pi. And because this is a fraction, I'm actually going to say pi over 6 times 1 over 2 pi, the reciprocal of 2 pi over 1. And so here we go. The pi's cancel out. On the top, I get 1, and 6 times 2 is 12. So if I know the rotation, I'm going to multiply by 2 pi. But if I know the angle, I'm going to end up multiplying by 1 over 2 pi. So 1/12 goes here. Okay, so I know the rotation. I multiply by 2 pi. We get 2 pi over 6, which is equal to pi over 3. That goes here. I know the angle. I'm going to multiply by pi over 2, or by 1 over 2 pi. So pi over 2 times 1 over 2 pi. Pi's cancel. We get 1/4. And that makes sense. On number 1, the problem up there, we actually labeled the top as pi times the radius over 2. And so that's like half of pi. And same idea down here, 1/4 of a rotation, 1/4 of a circle. Okay, we know 2 pi over 3, we know the angle, 2 pi over 3, we multiply by 1 over 2 pi. This time, the 2 pi's cancel out, and we get 1/3. So 2 pi over 3 angle is 1/3 of the circle. Okay, for here, 1/2 the rotation, I just, half of the circle, if the whole circle is 2 pi, half of the circle is pi. I don't even need to write any word for that one. 3 pi over 2, that's another point that we labeled on the circle. So if we go back up here to our diagram, between 0 and pi is pi over 2. So if we go all the way around the circle, it's a total of 2 pi. And so between pi and 2 pi would be 1/2 pi, which is the same thing as 3 pi over 2. So 3 pi over 2 is 3/4 of the circle. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that instead of writing out a calculation. It's 3/4 of the circle. And then finally, if we have a 7/8 rotation, it's 7/8 of the total. The total is 2 pi. So 7 times 2 pi is 14 pi. 8 times 1 is 8. And we can reduce this a little bit because 14 and 8 are both even, divisible by 2. We get 7 pi over 4. So this is 7 pi over 4. Okay, moving on. Number 3. A wheel has a radius of 1 foot. After the wheel has traveled a certain distance in the counterclockwise direction, so it's going in this direction, the point P has returned to its original position. So it's gone 1 full rotation of the circle. How many feet could the wheel have traveled? Well, if the radius is 1 foot, then going in 1 full rotation, the wheel would have traveled the circumference of the circle, which is 2 pi. So I know 2 pi is a possible answer. Pi over 2 is not. It would have ended here. Pi is not an answer. It would have ended here. And then 5 pi. Well, let's think about it. 1 rotation around the circle is 2 pi. A second rotation would be 4 pi. To get to 5 pi, it would end right here. So that's not going to work. But for 10 pi, every time you go around the circle, it's 2 pi. So it would be 2, and then 4, and then 6 pi, and then 8 pi, and then 10 pi. So 5 rotations would land at 10 pi. So it's possible that that was after 5 rotations. So 10 pi is a possible answer. C and E. Number 4, here are some points labeled on the unit circle. What is the measure in radians of angle POR? So angle POR. So it's this, up here. So in degrees, it would be 90 degrees, right? But if we think about, we have 0, and then we have pi over 2 in radians, and then pi in radians, and then 3 pi over 2 in radians, and then the whole circle, 2 pi. So just going to right here, to that angle right there, in radians, angle POR is equal to pi over 2 in radians, pi over 2, or 1/2 of pi. Angle POR is halfway between 0 radians and, angle POQ is halfway between 0 radians and angle POR. So we're looking now at this angle, which is half of the other one. So half of pi over 2 would be pi over 4. Half of 1/2 is 1/4. So this would be pi over 4, or 1/4 pi in radians. Pi over 4. Okay, label point U on the circle so that the measure of angle POU is 3 pi over 4. So for 3 pi over 4, so this would be 1 pi over 4, 2 pi over 4. Oops, you can't really see what I'm doing. Here we go. So starting at 0, 1 pi over 4, and then 2 pi over 4. So one more piece that size would be right here in the middle. That would be at 3 pi over 4, and this is going to be point U. 3 pi over 4. So we go 1 pi over 4, 2 pi over 4, and 3 pi over 4. And finally, we've actually already labeled the measurement, point V on the circle, so that the measure of angle POV, so all the way down to here, is 3 pi over 2, and it's right here. So that's going to be point V right here. All right. Moving on to number 5.